From the moment you enter a supermarket, every step that you take, every song and ad that you hear, every product that you see has been hyper-optimized over decades to maximize your spending. Common items placed at eye level so that you don't have to bend or stretch. Seemingly random overhauls of the entire store layout that force you to spend more time in the store even when you know exactly what you're looking for. Or indulgent, cheap foods near the checkout. But what about this rather unappealing hunk of metal with a plastic handlebar and 4 wheels, one of which never seems to work quite properly? Was it left out of this optimization equation? Not quite. In fact, it may be one of the most powerful psychological weapons that supermarkets use to increase your spending that you've never stopped to think about. Or did you? Shopping carts emerged nearly 80 years ago from Sylvan Goldman, who was an owner of an Oklahoma supermarket chain. His first prototype was a metal frame holding 2 wire baskets, earning him a patent in 1940. While Goldman initially designed them simply out of convenience, today's carts play a much more calculated role in purchase behavior. Now, before we get there, understanding the psychology of shopping carts requires some context about retail environments more broadly. Here's what we know from various studies. 1. As much as 76% of all purchase decisions happen inside the store, not before entering. 2. These in-store decisions remain highly susceptible to whatever tactics retailers deploy. And 3. The relationship between the time and money spent in a store is quite direct and unambiguous, even accounting for those who spend more time in a store simply because they planned larger purchases. In other words, once you're inside, your purchasing behavior becomes remarkably malleable. First, size. Larger carts encourage more purchases by creating empty space that subconsciously demands to be filled. This is especially the case when carts have partition sections for specific product types. But the size of a shopping cart also has a secondary effect. What do you notice about this photo? Or this one? Or this one? Even one shopping cart takes up a significant percentage of an aisle's width. Add 1 or 2 more and movement slows down considerably. This increases total store time and creates these micro-waiting periods. Too brief to check your phone, but long enough to notice surrounding products. If congestion becomes excessive, you will likely reroute entirely. For retailers, this is a huge win. But here's where it gets interesting. Research in ergonomics has shown that the orientation of handles affects which muscles are activated when you grasp or push something. While that may be obvious, it is important because your attitude towards hypothetical product choices is affected by which muscles you activate, which is much less obvious. For this, we need to diverge into human anatomy for a bit. If you bring your forearm to your upper arm, you activate the flexor muscles, such as your biceps. On the other hand, extending the forearm away from the upper arm activates the extensor muscles, such as your triceps. In one study, the researchers had their subjects press against the table upward, activating their flexor muscles, or downward, activating their extensor muscles. What they showed is that when flexor muscles were activated, the biceps in this case, the subjects' attitudes were more positive towards the thing they were evaluating and vice versa. This is called evaluative coding. Imagine a piece of food next to you that you don't want to be there. Maybe it's rotten or smells bad. What do? Well, you push that food away, meaning you activate your extensor muscles. In contrast, imagine a piece of food that you do want to be there. Perhaps you want to eat it. In that case, you pull that food towards you, engaging your flexor muscles. To put it differently, over the course of your life, flexion becomes associated with things that are appetitive and positive, and extension becomes associated with things that are aversive and negative. But what does that have to do with shopping carts? Many shopping carts today have horizontal handles. This activates the extensor muscles, and we know that activating extensor muscles induces fewer purchases than activating the flexor muscles. But what if you had a cart that activated the flexor muscles? This is what these scientists experimented with, and they called them parallel handles. These are extremely inefficient to push with your triceps, So your only option is to heavily engage the biceps. Their goal was to measure whether this increases the quantity or spending of customers, with the experiment conducted in the supermarket of a large European city, collecting data on nearly 2,400 purchases. The results? Parallel handles increased the quantity, spending, and variety of items bought. This was true for all product types: frozen foods, beverages, sweets and snacks, dairy, cleaning and hygiene, or even office supplies. While parallel handles were not as comfortable from the ergonomic standpoint, the study concludes this finding suggests that card manufacturers and retail managers may benefit from decreasing their focus on ergonomics and instead realizing the potential for card designs to stimulate sales. More comfortable cards may be less profitable. And so, if you ever happen to enter a store with parallel card handles, just know that you've probably stepped into the matrix of some hardcore spending optimizations. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing or giving it a like. These 5 minutes took me about 50 hours, give or take. And for now, I do it all by myself. And it's fun, and I'd like to keep doing more videos like this, and with your support, I may in fact be able to. See you in the next one.